Alright guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon, not here with Geeky Sparkles. In this video, we're going to talk about Hasbro, WotC, that would be Wizards of the Coast, and Dungeons & Dragons, and yet another controversy. Apparently, it's okay to talk about the new Players Handbook if you are sanctioned and or sponsored by Wizards of the Coast / Hasbro. However, if you pick up a copy of it yourself and you try to review it on your own channel, you could be hit with a copyright strike. Yeah, so if you're not on the approved list of D&D influencers, they will strike your channel. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about sponsorships and all of that. This is a very sticky situation, but it's not going to do Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast any favors because they're already in it with a lot of players. Remember, guys, this is the same company that a year or so ago decided they were going to send the Pinkertons to a guy's house to take cards that he got early accidentally. They sent the freaking Pinkertons to his house. So I think what Hasbro is looking for, if I had to guess, is they're looking for another Critical Role because they lost Critical Role, right? Critical Role was the best advertising that they had for Dungeons & Dragons, and now they're making their own system and they're taking their audience with them. And now I've heard mixed things about whether or not that system's any good. That's neither here nor there. They're not, actively pushing D&D like they were before, and a lot of that goes back to another Hasbro oopsie doopsie with the OGL debacle. That, for those of you who don't know, the OGL 1.1 fiasco, which you can Google, basically for years, WotC lets you create your own stuff for D&D, and it was all cool. They weren't going to, take any legal action against you if you made a supplement that didn't include their copyrighted material and you wanted to sell it. Even you were allowed to do that. Well, then they wanted to do some kind of a licensing profit sharing arrangement, and they basically said if you make stuff for D&D, we can take it if we want to. Now they're saying that's not what they did, but I need to point out that they got rid of Cynthia Williams, the president of WotC, and they got rid of some other people at Wizards of the Coast in recent months. You know what I'm saying? So I think that, yeah, they mismanaged it, and now they're trying to crawl back to their fans, their influencers, trying to salvage this new version of D&D because I don't think it's going to sell that well. I have a feeling it's not going to go very well for them because a lot of people, they use the OGL and Pinkerton debacles to nope out of D&D forever. And people have gone back to older versions of the game, or they've gone to Pathfinder, or they've gone to the multitude of other D20 systems that have popped up since Hasbro shot themselves in the foot. So yeah, now they're copyright striking people who preview the books on their channel. So let's talk about this. Before you get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Now, in the full interest of disclosure, we're actually working on our own tabletop game system, Adventure Engine, at adventureengine.net. It's going to be a while. We're working on it. We have been working on it for, like a year and a half, almost 2 years now. But it is coming along, and we will make more announcements about this when we have something more concrete to announce. It is not a one-to-one D&D replacement. Want to be upfront with people about that. If you're looking for a one-to-one D&D replacement, may I interest you in Pathfinder? That's pretty much what that is. But this is something that's going to be fun, I think, for lapsed players, new players, people who don't want a very crunchy game. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. That's kind of the audience we're going for. But yeah, adventureengine.net, you can check it out. So this is coming from the belloflostsouls.net. D&D YouTubers are hit with copyright strikes over new D&D Players Handbook. It's not a very good look, Hasbro. As the video reviews roll out, so too do WotC's copyright strike claims on certain videos, though no one seems to know why. As of August 1st, WotC's review embargo on the new 5.5e Players Handbook has lifted. With that lifting came a number of videos ready to go at 8 o'clock day one, as the saying goes. Yes, these were people that were probably bought and paid for by Hasbro. And this is kind of the way it works. Now, again, for those of you who have been listening to this channel for a while, you will know that in a former life, I was a Disney shill. Yeah, I was. I was actually, well, enough shill is the proper term, but we were on Disney's approved media list, which meant, for a blog that we were working on, which meant that, when they had a big announcement, they would go out to a group of people that would promote certain things. People that they knew were going to not rip it to shreds, and that was us. I mean, and it got harder and harder to defend some of their decisions. But a lot of times if they give you insider access, they have an embargo, you drop it. Everybody dropped their videos in the same day with the hashtag and the whatever. That was part of the deal. And we knew that's how it worked. In exchange for that, we got free vacations. We had, all the Disney food we could eat, all the hotels we could stay at. After a while, we actually got very, very tired of Disney. And no, we didn't get quote unquote fired from Disney. We had a falling out with the partner on the blog. It led to a lawsuit. We won, but we also were kind of like, yeah, you know what? It's not really worth being on the media list because you have to give up yourself. You have to give up your opinions. You have to play nice. I mean, it doesn't take much to piss these corporations off. I mean, if you're even a little honest, if you give something a B+ instead of an A, you're on the shit list and you don't get called again. Anyway, let's go back to this article. In the ensuing days, number of creators from rules optimizers to D&D opinion havers to DM advice givers have released scads of videos on the subject. Okay, many have shown off the new book, and despite being given the book seemingly for the purpose of showing it off, that seems to have brought down the wrath of WotC Legal. Again, reminder, this is the same company that sent the freaking Pinkertons to a guy's house because he got a pack of cards early. They're not your friends. I'm just saying. Only there haven't been any lawsuits yet. If there were, it would be a fine continuation of the D&D tradition. They're talking about TSR, the game's originators, were infamous for suing small creators. They sue regularly, was a nickname the company earned, but again, no lawsuits so far. So we got to kind of defend, like, oh yeah, well, Hasbro hasn't gone there. I think Hasbro has learned a very painful, expensive lesson. It's better not to provoke the fans. And again, Cynthia Williams, I think, lost her job because of the fan provocation. WotC does seem to have wielded a far more powerful weapon, though, the copyright strike. Yes, Disney does this too. These corporations abuse the YouTube copyright system because what they do, and I'm going to tell you a little story here. We're going to take a side tangent. Because what's going on is they're going around copyright striking channels that are showing off the book that are not on the vetted media list, right? Or that are possibly critical of it. So in our own instance, we did a trailer reaction to season 2 of She-Ra back in the day, the Netflix She-Ra show that Geeky was hypercritical of. Yeah, well, other YouTubers were doing it, except their takes were positive. Ours was not. Ours was, we were laughing our asses off at how ridiculous it looked. Didn't we get a copyright strike from DreamWorks? Now, they knew they weren't going to win because it was considered fair use. And eventually that video did get returned to us. The reason they did it was they dropped the trailer reactions. I'm trying to remember what happened, the timeline of events here, but it's been like 5 years. But they dropped the trailer reactions. I think it was the weekend of New York Comic Con, and they were having a big panel talking about season 2 of the She-Ra show, the new Ra show. And our video was actually at the top of the heap. Like when you would search for reactions or whatever, we were coming up top. So they struck it to get rid of it for that weekend because they knew it wasn't going to last. So what they're doing is they're trying to bury dissent. They know that they're not actually going to win. These corporations know they're not actually going to win, but they take your video out of play for a while, right? And then when it finally gets, because you can dispute it, when it finally gets returned, that promotional window, it's already passed. So by the time we got the She-Ra reaction video released, it was like 2 weeks later, because we weren't very big back then. It was like 2 weeks later until somebody at YouTube got around to looking at it being like, yeah, it's fair use. You're allowed to react to that. But they just wanted to make sure that all the videos that weekend for that promotional push at New York Comic Con were positive. And these companies do this all the time. Mattel is infamous for this. So they did this to a guy's YouTube channel because he had pictures of Jurassic Park toys early. We've actually gotten takedown requests from different companies. Sometimes like we would get leaks or whatever from a message board and we would, throw some pictures up. We've gotten requests like that. If they ask nicely, we'll take it down, but we don't really have to. We have several blogs that cover pop culture, different verticals, right? And we've gotten takedown requests from, well, actually Mattel was the reason we moved all of our hosting offshore, because they contacted our host and our host buckled immediately and took our site down over some pictures of Monster High dolls like 15 years ago. It was ridiculous. Because if you're in a country like the Netherlands, if you're hosted in the Netherlands, a DMCA takedown request, yeah, it's not legal. They can't just contact your host and tell them to take down the site. And that's why we did it. Anyway, what I'm saying is, I don't know if they're doing this necessarily to punish this creator or these creators. I think that Hasbro's doing this to basically just, they had a whole promotional plan, right? And these people threw a wrench into it because their videos are getting lumped into all the videos from the influencers that they trusted to say nice things. And Disney would do this too, to some degree. Like people would figure out the hashtags that Disney was using for a certain promotional event, and then they would start tagging their own photos and stuff with those hashtags. So the negative stuff got intermingled with the positive stuff. So that's what's going on. That's my opinion. Anyway, back to the article. That was the long way around, I know, but I wanted to give you some context here that we actually know how this stuff works because we've been on the other side of it. D&D creators who show off the book WotC sent them to show off, targeted for showing off the book WotC sent. So apparently these people actually did have the go-ahead to show off the new Players Handbook. And they still got struck, probably because they have their legal team or whatever, or whoever they hired to go out there and look for people. And if it wasn't vetted, or something slipped through the cracks, they're going to strike them. Over the weekend, D&D creators have taken down, blurred out, or delisted videos showing off Players Handbook contents, despite, as they say, following WotC's instructions. A move that seems to have sparked confusion across the community, especially since YouTube's copyright strike policy has a draconian 3-strike policy that ends up with your channel terminated, a move that only hurts creators, as anyone who's ever watched a full movie or other bootleg performance uploaded to YouTube knows. Yeah. And I don't know if they think about that. I don't know if these corporations think about that. They're like, yeah, you're giving that creator a strike. 3 strikes, you're out, right? So it's a big freaking deal. If you strike a creator's channel, it's a big deal. And they don't even think about it. They're just like, yeah, you don't have the rights to that. Oh, you lost your channel? Oh, well, it's like, we need to take you offline. But then the thing is, you actually make more enemies, right? So if you are a corporation that is responsible, even in part, for striking a fan's channel and potentially, costing them their livelihood, over for some stupid infraction, real or imagined, yeah, you're going to be on the shit list. And if they go out to social media and complain like, hey, yeah, Wizards destroyed my channel and all I was doing was trying to help them promote this product, it doesn't look good. Almost as bad as sending the Pinkertons to a guy's house because he got a pack of cards early. Nerd Immersion's video showing off the table of contents of the new Players Handbook was taken down. As was D&D Short's 100% walkthrough of the new Player's Handbook. D&D lore junkie, I think it's Jordan. I keep wanting to call him Jorfton, but I went out to his Twitter and he said that the PH was silent. Jordan was hit with a copyright strike over the weekend for a Player's Handbook flip-through video, and he posted about it on Twitter. Wow. Despite fulfilling Wizards D&D requests for the flip-through video, I was issued a copyright strike on my channel. 3 strikes terminates your channel. I don't think going over the 2024 Players Handbook is worth losing my channel I've been working on since 2017. Hi, Jordan. We received a copyright removal request for your video. Based on applicable copyright law, we removed your video from YouTube. This means your video cannot be viewed on YouTube. Removal request issued by Wizards of the Coast LLC. Now, see, look, it's reynoldslaw.legal. This is the contact info. So they hired a third party to go out and do this. And that's what they usually do. Mattel was doing that too. And these people are freaking overzealous. I don't think a lot of them understand the nuance of YouTube law. They're just like, no, you're not allowed to have that. You know, Hasbro's draconian, man. They would go out to Etsy and they were striking people's, like, you know, My Little Pony art. If it was a silhouette of a pony, it wasn't even Hasbro art, they would strike it. You received a copyright strike. You now have one copyright strike. If you get multiple copyright strikes, we'll have to terminate your channel. To prevent that from happening, please don't upload videos containing copyright content that you aren't allowed to use. God, that's ridiculous. Along with the tweet was attached a screenshot of the copyright removal request. And if you're wondering about the request WotC might have made, we don't necessarily know for sure. But another creator, Mike Shea, Sly Flourish of the Lazy DMs Guide, blurred the pages on his flip-through video after receiving an email from Hasbro. This is after he blurred out the pictures. No, I blurred out pictures of the book after Hasbro sent me an email saying they were worried people would take screenshots of the book and build their own. Yes, it's complete bullshit, but we must all do our part to ensure $4 billion companies maximize their shareholder value. Jeez. Oh, God. Yeah, all this sours the air around the ongoing promotion. Again, this is a very bad look. You have to pick and choose your battles. And nothing will turn a fandom on, you know, against a corporate-owned IP faster than this kind of bullshit. You know, ask Disney how that goes for them. Ask Mattel how that goes for them. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if they legally have the right to do it, doesn't mean they should do it, because the fandom will turn on you. If they think that you're just, you know, and they're already, like, Hasbro's already got like one foot in the grave when it comes to D&D because of the OGL and because of the Pinkertons, because of, you know, so much other bullshit that they pulled. You know, loudly proclaiming that D&D is basically going to be a shitty mobile app and a lifestyle brand going forward. That's not helping their case any. Yeah, good news. They released their copyright claim on Jordan's video, I guess. Yeah, so they did, probably because he complained. Probably because he complained about it. He actually said in the update on his Twitter thread that they were able to clear it up. The strike was removed this morning. I've since set the video to private just because of all the attention. Happy and relieved. Yeah, well, the only reason they did that was because it made them look bad. They said it's an internal miscommunication. No, I think they were told to go strike down any channel that had this Players Handbook, any images from it up that weren't on the approved, vetted media list. So let's talk about that, because Bob World Builder put a video out, and I know some people have gotten on him for, I guess, being on the take. I don't know. I don't really follow the drama that closely. I am aware of him. I don't really watch him, but he was offered a copy of the book, and he talks about sponsorships and YouTube sponsorships and how that works. And he's not wrong. I mean, a lot of YouTubers take sponsorships, and it is understood if you take a sponsorship from a corporation to promote their product, or you work with them, or you have early access, you're not allowed to be critical. I mean, technically you are allowed to be critical, but if you're critical of a product they give you, don't expect them to offer you another product to review. Because the whole purpose of this is to build up interest, legitimate interest in the product, and not interest in taking a shit on the product, right? So again, as a former vetted Disney media person, you know, I can tell you very well that you are not allowed to even be remotely critical of anything if you want to get invited to that next cupcake party. That's just the way it works. And they did this before. They flew a bunch of people out to the West Coast, to Wizards of the Coast, to corporate HQ, I guess, to do some influencer thing last year. I think it was last year about the virtual tabletop, and there was a lot of controversy about that too. I think what they're looking for at the end of the day is they're looking for another critical role. And I don't think that's ever going to happen again. Because again, once you get to a certain size, and I'm seeing more and more of these YouTubers of a certain size going out and doing their own game systems, they're going to leave WotC in the dust because it is a very corporate product now. It's a very corporate product, and they have a very corporate mindset, and it is what it is. And if you enjoy it, that's fantastic. Like, I'm not telling you to stop playing D&D at all. If you want to play 5.5e or whatever, D&D 1 or whatever the hell they're calling it, that's fine. I just like to make a distinction between Dungeons and Dragons and, the original Dungeons and Dragons and Hasbro's version of it, which a lot of people are bringing that up, by the way, on Twitter, that people are calling it, just like they call it Disney Star Wars, they're starting to call this Hasbro Dungeons and Dragons. That they're making a distinction between the current version of D&D and TSR D&D. So it's pretty interesting stuff. It's not good. It's not a good look. Let's just put it that way. This person said, yeah, was there a D&D influencer party at Gen Con? People are asking. This is to Bob World Builder here. So yeah, a lot of people, and look, anytime you get a scene like this, where you have a lot of influencers in a fan scene, there's a lot of jealousy and a lot of backbiting and a lot of accusations. People, the haves and the have-nots, people that got invited, people who didn't get invited, why they didn't get invited. I know Polygon was kind of raging hard at these influencers, but like if your whole identity, your whole channel is about a certain product and the maker of that product wants to work with you, you know what I'm saying? Like it probably is to your advantage to do that. If not, if you're critical of that product and you're covering that product anyway, you might want to find another product to cover, right? I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, you could do a general tabletop YouTube channel, just talk about tabletop games in particular, and then talk about competitors to D&D. But if your whole channel is basically about promoting D&D, like this is where it all leads to. Ultimately, you're basically an unpaid or a low paid employee. And like I said, when I did this for Disney, they made it very clear to us that they considered us part of their marketing team, even though we weren't on payroll for them officially, when we were doing the blog. So if you're not comfortable with that, then you need to branch out and you need to find some other stuff to cover, I guess, because this is where when you are standing for a corporation, all roads lead to you being a mouthpiece for that corporation. That's just, at the end of the day, that's it. And some people are cool with it and some people aren't cool with it, but I don't think it's cool that they're going around striking channels, unless you're flipping through the entire book. Then that's really douchey. I mean, God, there are comic book channels out there that show the entire freaking comic book and they read the entire freaking comic book and they don't strike them. Why don't they strike them? Because it's good advertising. And God knows comic books needs all the advertising it can get. But I'm going to wrap this up. There we go, guys. Latest WotC drama. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Check out the audio version of Clownfish TV wherever you find podcasts. Also, D-Res, where we do video game news and interviews and that sort of thing. We'll talk later.